the prince of the powers of the air. Mysterious condition makes high-altitude climbers imagine people who aren't there, hear things, and generally lose grip on reality. Today's video is going to be basically branching off the last video that I did about the gremlin sightings of World War II. So in that video, I talked about how during World War II, many pilots throughout the world, throughout many different countries, were seeing similar type of entities, causing all kinds of chaos and basically terrorizing the pilots. And in that same video, I also make another connection to a mysterious condition that makes high-altitude climbers hear and imagine things that aren't there, auditory and visual hallucinations. And I wondered, is there a connection between high elevation and having more vivid auditory and visual hallucinations? So there was a comment on TikTok that inspired me to make this video today. So the clip I posted from my recent videos was about people hearing voices and seeing hallucinations when they do high-altitude mountain climbing. So it's a pretty common phenomenon. And this one guy comments and he says, radio signals in the ionosphere. The brain is a receiver. And as soon as he said that, I had all kinds of interesting realizations. And I told him, hold up, you might be onto something. Yes, the brain is like a radio receiver. Spiritual wickedness, high places, Satan, prince of powers of the air. As soon as I read his comment, a couple of verses started popping up in my head, and also a flashback popped in my head of the conversation I had with a psychotherapist who believes in demons on my YouTube channel.
The voices are very real. People need to understand, they need to ask the question, where do thoughts come from? Psychology doesn't deal with that. Psychiatry doesn't deal with that. Thoughts are energetic entities.
It's a metaphysical thing.
It's a metaphysical thing. Thoughts are energy. And nobody's ever seen a thought. Nobody's ever isolated a thought. But you have to have a thought before a behavior happens.
Yeah, it's not in the brain. It's not anywhere specific.
No,
you can't locate it.
You can't locate it. They're thinking, oh, it's the brain. Oh, it's the brain. Nobody's ever thought in the brain. It's thoughts that drive behavior. It's not the electrical crap in the brain. It's not that. The brain is more like a radio set. You imagine
a receiver.
You imagine taking a transistor radio to a tribe in the Amazon or something. You turn it on. Here's somebody talking out of it. And then they go, well, who's in there? Who's in there? They open up the back and they don't see anything in there. And they go like, well, where's the voice? Where's the person talking? It's like, what makes it talk? That's kind of what the brain is. It's a receiver. It receives different frequencies. It receives the thought.
That's interesting. So first I'm going to talk about the verses that popped into my head. The first one is a very common one that I talk about all the time, and it's Ephesians 6:12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Emphasis on the high places. And as soon as I read that comment, the second verse that popped into my head was this one. Ephesians 2:2. Wherein in times past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now walketh in the children of disobedience. So those two verses popped into my head, and the words spiritual wickedness in high places. I kept thinking about the word high places. And then this verse popped up. Prince of the powers of the air, high places, prince of the air. And I'm wondering, does this have something to do with the hallucinations and the spiritual entities that people see when they're high in elevation, such as the pilots of World War II and mountain climbers who hear voices and see things? I was wondering, is there some kind of connection to this? So maybe when we mess with gateway sins, the type of sins that I talked about on this channel that open you up to wicked spirits, like witchcraft, partaking in substances or what the Bible calls pharmakia, such as powerful psychedelics that open you up to spiritual entities, and also breaking one of the most repeated commands in the Bible, which is do not fear. Feeding fear, giving into fear, this is what sustains and feeds wicked spirits in high places. So maybe when we give into these sins, like a receiver, like an antenna, our body tunes in to the spiritual wickedness in high places, just like Jerry Marzinsky said. So I'm like, now it starts to make sense why it's called high places, this metaphysical world. And then it also made sense why Satan is called the prince of the powers of the air. Prince of the powers of the air can mean dark spiritual realm, electrical spiritual forces, electromagnetic waves, invisible spiritual evil wicked force, and all these technologies that we have, the manifestations and the connections. And in my head, I'm like, wow, all of this is starting to make sense. TV, music, cell phones, internet, all these technologies has something to do with the prince of the powers of the air, and him exalting the spiritual wickedness in high places, through these mediums. And as I'm thinking about that, another thing popped into my head, and it was the word ether. According to ancient and medieval science, the ether was also known as the fifth element. It is the material that fills the region of the universe. The concept of ether was used in several theories to explain several natural phenomena, such as the traveling of light. Some of the mythological origins of ether is this. Ether in Homeric Greek means pure, fresh air, or clear sky. In Greek mythology, it was thought to be the pure essence that the gods breathed, filling the space where they lived, analogous to the air breathed by mortals. It is also personified as a deity, Ether, the son of Erebus. So yeah, ether was also known as the fifth element. In fact, Aristotle calls it the breath of the gods, the oxygen that the gods breathe. It's what surrounds the world of the gods. If you look at it from a biblical perspective, the so-called gods are the fallen angels and their offsprings, right? The spirits of the Nephilim, the demons. As soon as I started thinking about all of this, I just got this like wow moment. Like this is slowly coming together. This is starting to make so much sense. And another interesting thing I wanted to mention concerning high elevations and the whole ether phenomena is when people climb high mountains, they experience static electric energy. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching and keeping up with me. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. If you'd like to support this channel, I do have a Patreon. You can also become a YouTube member by joining if you'd like to support this channel. But once again, thank you for all the support. Thank you for watching with me. God bless all of you guys. And till next time, we're out.